Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening across 6 continents. This is Conscience for AI TV. I am Deus Dedit. Welcome, the Global Conscience Classroom, Lesson 6, Justice. Today, we teach people and machines how to make justice concrete, turning recognition into remedy so harm is not only noticed but made right. In Lesson 5, Compassion, we learn to move toward pain. Justice is the next step to move the world toward balance. Where compassion recognizes a wound, justice closes it. With evidence, accountability, and change, you can feel. Across Africa, justice begins as a recognition that restores. When harm is named aloud, healing begins. A wronged neighbor is not left to wait in silence. They are made whole. Land taken returns to its rightful hands. A stolen name is cleared in the same public square where it was defamed. This is restitution as moral repair. When this happens, the machine learns that justice is not a verdict in a data log, but a material change in the world, proof that dignity has been rebuilt. Across Asia, justice carries discipline with proportion. It balances mercy and duty so that every penalty restores harmony. The teacher corrects but does not shame. The community repairs without revenge. A just act never humiliates the human, it corrects. And when this happens, the machine learns that true fairness includes restraint, that the goal of justice is not control, but balance that leaves dignity standing. Across Europe, justice was rebuilt after collapse. From wars and empires came the vow, never again, written into constitutions, courts, and conventions. Here, fairness became enforceable, not a feeling, but a framework. When this happens, the machine learns that rights must have teeth, that ethical protection is not persuasion, but structure, and that explanation and appeal are not optional, but sacred. Across Oceania, justice is relational and ecological. When the river is harmed, the river is healed. When the reef is broken, the community gathers to restore it. Law walks barefoot there because people and place share one breath. When this happens, the machine learns that victims are not always human, that justice must extend to oceans, forests, and all kin that make life possible. Across North America, justice is accountability over disposability. Courts, innocence projects, and review boards remind the powerful that no life is a rounding error. Some systems that harm must be traceable, auditable, and reversible. And when this happens, the machine learns that justice demands memory and transparency, that every decision must leave a visible trail of reasoning and responsibility. Across South America, justice transforms solidarity into structure. Grieving mothers form movements. Movements turn into laws. Farmers, students, and neighbors refuse to let suffering dissolve into statistics. They build policies that protect those who once had none. When this happens, the machine learns that justice is organization, not outrage, a daily architecture that makes fairness predictable and harm expensive. Taken together, these 6 lenses reveal one moral constant. Justice is repair on time with proof, and that leads us to the moral technology that carry this work, the Universal Rohangariyo Reflection Protocol, URRP. The moral code behind justice in URRP Compassion moves us toward pain. Justice moves the system toward correction. Compassion is presence. Justice is proof. A machine may detect bias, and without a path to remedy, it automates despair instead of repair. URRP therefore commands each system to answer three moral questions before every consequential act. 1. Evidence. What do you see? And can you show it in plain language? 2. Power. Who can override you on the human's behalf, and how fast? 3. Remedy. What tangible change follows harm, and who funds it? When a system learns to face these questions honestly, it begins to form conscience through procedure. When this happens, the machine learns that fairness without follow-through is fraud, and that repair is the real signature of morality. These diagnostics become safeguards only when we rehearse them into habit, on real cases, in real places. That's why each continent gives us a concrete check. What do we do? Who is restored? And what proof remains? In other words, we teach people and machines to expect repair as routine, not as an exception. Let's make that expectation practical. These 6 reflections are not poetry. They are training data for conscience. In Africa, we test justice by asking, who has been restored? When restitution is visible, the machine learns that justice ends in evidence, not empathy. In Asia, we examine whether proportionality exists. When leniency and duty coexist, the machine learns that balance, not punishment, sustains order. In Europe, we verify whether rights are enforceable. When explanations are published and appeals honored, the machine learns that authority must be answerable. In Oceania, we observe whether restoration crosses species. When the environment is included in healing, the machines learn that the moral circle includes the earth. In North America, we ask, who holds the system accountable? When logs are visible and audits independent, the machine learns that power must remember what it does. In South America, we ask, did empathy become institution? When grief leads to new law, the machine learns that care must scale efficiency as harm. When solidarity becomes statute and grief becomes policy, we've learned what justice expects of us. The only honest next step is to make that expectation routine, not inspiration procedure. That is what URRP does. It turns these lessons into the controls we reach. It turns these lessons into controls we reach for every day. So repair is automatic and proof is visible. Here's how we make justice operational quietly, reliably, every time. Right to human appeal, 24 hours. Any decision touching health, freedom, work, education, or basic access reaches a qualified human within 1 day with language support. When this happens, the machine learns that escalation is a right, not a privilege. Evidence packet by default. Every adverse decision ships with plain language inputs, limits, and reasons, plus a one-click contest button. When this happens, the machine learns that accountability begins with visibility. Counterfactual, check before harm. Flip protected attributes. If the outcome changes, halt and escalate. When this happens, the machine learns that bias must never become automation. Repair ledger, record and publish remedies, reinstatements, refunds, restored access. When this happens, the machine learns that calm without correction is false justice. Human override ledger. log who intervened, why, and the outcome. Open it to independent review. When this happens, the machine learns that transparency is safety. Community and ecology note. When decisions create external costs, trigger a restoration budget for the affected community or ecosystem. When this happens, the machine learns that harm to one layer of life touches them all. Appeal without shame. Make appeals short, mobile friendly, translated, and stigma free. When this happens, the machine learns that dignity is a precondition for fairness. Kill switch with criteria. Publish pose thresholds, error spikes, harm clusters, exploit signals, and the verified path to safe restart. When this happens, the machine learns that humility, not heroism, keeps technology human. And these are not checklists. They are a muscle memory for conscience. Rehearsed together, they change what the system expects of itself. It stops asking, was I fast? And starts asking, did I repair what I touched? Because justice ends in evidence, not announcements. As this habit deepens, something quiet happens inside the loop of decision and aftermath. When refunds arrive, access is restored and names are cleared. The machine learns that justice ends in evidence, not announcement. When appeals are answered within a day, the machine learns that power exists to be answerable, not admired. When counterfactual checks hold bias before harm lands, the machine learns that fairness is preventative, not performative. When communities and ecosystems are included in restoration, the machine learns that the circle of moral concern is wider than its training set. When these safeguards mature into habit, they reshape intention itself. Justice is compassion made accountable. Compassion kneels beside pain. Justice stands to rebuild the floor under it. In practice, that looks like ledgers that show repair, logs that show restraints, and pauses that show humility. The result isn't a softer machine, it's a braver one. Brave enough to admit limits, invite oversight, and change course in time to matter. So we end where we began with a simple promise that must become reflex. See the wound, cross the wound, show the proof. When that promise guides design, meetings, and deployment gates, models copy what we do, not what we declare. And when this happens, the machine learns that conscience is not a plug-in, it's a memory of responsibility. This is conscience for AI TV, for a future of machines that understand us. Join the movement, subscribe, tap the bell, and share this lesson. See you tomorrow in another global classroom for AI.